Welcome to the Crimeycade, Sunday edition. Usually I don't do a podcast on a Sunday afternoon, but for scheduling purposes, sometimes I've had to do a special Sunday pod. I think the last time I did a Sunday pod was interviewing Tracy Gleave, who was over on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean over in Great Britain. And I will accommodate guests who can only come in on certain days and times for work schedules or whatever else is going on during the week or the weekends. And this is going to be this is an international pod this time. Our guest is from Canada. But first, those who joined me Thursday, my guest was John Parrish of Mortal Kombat, Jax Briggs. So the internet decided to wreak havoc. While we're reviewing the footage, the interview, it appears my connection was stable throughout, but something was going on in the Chicago area, and connection interruptions wreaked havoc with this interview. And apologize to everybody who tuned in expecting chat with one of the legends of the arcade industry, and it did not go the way I wanted it to go with the technical problems and stuff. So I will be reposting the interview on YouTube once I go through the video and trim out all the pauses and the technical glitches that was experienced, so somebody can listen to the whole thing all the way through without all the problems we were having. Yeah, bleeping computers. You gotta love it. So my guest tonight, this afternoon, is one of 8 people as of 2020 to get the max out on Pac-Man, the original Pac-Man. He was also one of the early world record holders. He had the arcade world record for a Data East arcade game called Tag Team Wrestling, and had some scores for Dragon Slayer that were records at the time. I believe they've been beaten since then, but regardless, a score that will stand forever is the max out, the highest possible score on Pac-Man, May 19th, 2020, and have a bit of an intro to share. And let me pull this screen up. Gotta find it. Here it is. And I gotta unplug the headphones.
Saskatoon Man is joining the ranks as one of the greatest Pac-Man players in the world. He reached the pinnacle this week, scoring the maximum points possible. CTV's Francois Bieber has the story.
Bottom of the screen, you can actually go through the screen way down here.
Greg Sakundiak is showing off the final screen in Pac-Man known as the kill screen, and you can only reach it after zipping through 256 levels. This week, he hit the maximum score possible in his favorite childhood game, 3,333,360 points.
13 years of straight playing on and off to get to the kill screen. Now, what that entails is playing every board. And there's 256 boards. Every board getting every dot, eating every energizer, and getting every blue time ghost, eating every ghost when it turns blue.
But even when you get to the kill screen, there's a secret to gathering hidden dots so you can reach that maximum score.
After you get the hidden dots and eat them, you obviously kill yourself so you can get the dots again so you can get the most maximum point score, right?
This feat took more than 4 hours standing in front of the machine with laser focus on the task at hand, and it's no joke.
I am an electrician, and my hands are really strong. But playing a video game is a lot different than being an electrician. Like, I was totally exhausted after just standing there and playing for just over 4 hours.
Chris Ewan is a new age gamer. He says what Sakundiak accomplished is an incredible feat.
Getting all the way, beating the entire thing, getting through that challenge is crazy.
Sakundiak isn't turning the game off just yet. He's still soaking in his accomplishment. He's submitting his high score to Twin Galaxies, the Guinness World Records for video game records.
I can't even imagine finally doing this. It's been a lifelong goal for me. I've reached the top in other events in my life. Some of them have felt better than this, but this one is like right up there.
Francois Bieber, CTV News, Saskatoon.
And all right, let's get this plugged back in. All right, my guest at this time. There we go. Greg Sakundiak, if I pronounced it correctly.
It's Sakundiak.
Oh, it's close.
How you doing today?
I'm surviving. You know, I had the time change, but you didn't.
No, we don't do the time change here. So let me just adjust my camera here. There we go.
Yeah, you're up in Saskatchewan. That's where it is.
Yeah. I live in northern Saskatchewan, well, kind of more central, but it gets cold here in the wintertime.
I imagine.
Yeah, sometimes we hit minus 50 Celsius. If you can imagine that.
Which is minus 100 degrees Fahrenheit at least, or thereabouts. No, that's not accurate. No, the coming point of Fahrenheit and Celsius is negative 40. So it'd been about probably negative 60, negative 50s, negative 60 degrees or something.
Yeah, we get pretty cold here.
Yeah, it's like, what kind of heating system you guys use up in Canada?
Well, right now, what I'm actually doing a lot of construction on my house right now. I live, hopefully my reception doesn't go bad, but I moved out of the city and I moved way out in the middle of nowhere, out in the middle of the bush. So I live in a log cabin out in the middle of the bush now. And so I heat with wood heat. I chop down trees and cut wood and heat with wood. So
yeah, and you got to constantly feed the fireplace. You got to keep smoke from going back inside the house.
Yeah.
Produce enough heat to keep you warm enough so you don't freeze to death in the middle of winter in negative 50 degree weather. It's like
yeah, it's a chore and a half to do that, but I tell you, it's just getting the knowledge, or not the knowledge, but the feeling of being able to do that, and how much it gives you, just brings a lot to your morale and to your body, and knowing that you can chop firewood and heat yourself in case of an emergency, or if anything in the world goes bad, you know what I mean?
Right. Good grief. I wonder how bundle up do you have to get to go outside?
You got to get pretty bundled up, to be honest with you. Like, I own an electrical company. I run my own electrical company, and I work in the city, which it's a little ways from here. But in the wintertime, when it's that cold, you have to, like, I keep an extra set of boots and my coveralls and mitts and toque and all that kind of stuff in my van, so that when I'm working outside, if I have to work outside, I go outside, work for 10 minutes, go back in the van, change my clothes and change my coveralls and my boots and my mitts, and then I go back out and work. And I have to let my vehicle run because I got to keep everything warm. So I have my vehicle running all day long just to get the work done. It's a chore and a half.
Yeah, the problem is if the vehicle may just have trouble starting in the middle of winter if it's just dead cold.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you know what? Like, up until last year, I never had a garage because I lived in a log house here, and then we put a big, huge addition on the side of the log house. and I ended up building a double wide garage with a loft on top for an office. And I always had to park my van outside in the middle of winter. And I mean, we can plug it in because they have block heaters that keep the block warm and keep the oil warm so that you could actually start it. But there were some days when it hit -50 that even plugging it in and keeping all that warmth and everything in the like in the block and all that, the vehicle wouldn't start. It just wouldn't start. So now I have a garage, so it's pretty good. I can park it inside, and it only gets to like in I guess in American in Fahrenheit it would only get to, because I don't heat my garage unless I really have to, which is where we're sitting now. Like I have my games in my garage now. I never when I moved from the city out to the acreage, I had all my stuff in storage, and I wasn't able to play. I wasn't able to do anything, and I had to kind of revert to MAME for a little bit to play and just to kind of keep things sharp and everything. But now I have my Donkey Kong here, and I have my Pac-Man that's behind me, and all the rest of my games are still in the C can until I can get things, because I'm still kind of in transition right now, moving things from the C can into the loft and into the garage just to get things going, because it's been a big move, because I wanted to get away from the city and get out into the middle of, into the middle of the bush where I could, feel more comfortable and just kind of relax my mind and my brain. And, the hustle and bustle of the city, I really hate driving into the city every day to go to work, but it's something that you have to do. But I love being out in nature. And I took up bow hunting this year. It's first time this year, and so pretty good. But I like the peace and quiet of being out here and one with nature and that kind of stuff.
So, yeah, the arcade games in the garage. I had arcade games in my basement, and I needed to get them out of the basement and onto a ground floor. So if I wanted any more games or wanted to trade them, they had to go on the ground floor. So
Yeah.
I had a new garage built, and with a room in the back that's insulated and heated and cooled.
Yep.
And I got all the game with some help, got the games out, got them in the back of the garage, and now I have a garage arcade.
That's awesome. I used to I started out when I was younger. I started out working for an operator when I was like 14.
Yeah.
And then that operator gave me a job working in his arcade that he supplied. Like he owned an arcade as well, so he gave me a job in the arcade once I turned 15. And then from there, like working in an arcade, you get to see the guys that come in, like the guys that come in and fix the games and all that. So I've been in gaming since, like, I've been playing since the 1980, 81, right? But then working with the games and working in the arcade and all that since like I think it was 1984. Yeah, 1984, 83, 84, 85, something like that. I'm 56, turning 57 this year, so it's a long time ago. But the date doesn't hit me at the right spot. But so then I started doing that. I started working in the arcade and getting, with the guys that fix the games and everything, showing me how to fix game. Like I was always interested in that kind of stuff. And then so I was like watching and learning and working for the guy doing that. And then just from there, as I was a kid, I just played games and played video games all the time. And then as I grew up, got older, I started buying my own games and everything. And then I opened an arcade on Vancouver Island when I lived there for a while. I had the arcade for about 2 years, and then I moved away from there, and I moved to Calgary. Well, I sold almost everything except a few pieces, and then moved to Calgary, Alberta, and didn't really do a lot with video games then, and that was like 1998, something like that, 1998. And then I ended up buying a house in 1999, and there was this arcade that was closing, and they just put all the games out on the street, and they like I driven by there a couple of times, and they were just sitting on the street. Yeah, they were just sitting on the street in the middle of summer, and I was like, what the heck's going on? So I drove by, and it was like 2 weeks, and it hadn't rained, so it wasn't bad because the games weren't getting destroyed. And I finally stopped, and I like went into the building, and I'm like, hey, what's going on with all these games that you got sitting out here like on the street? And he goes, I don't know, we're closing down, and we told the operator either he has to come and get them, or we're moving them out of the building, and if they're getting on the street, we're not responsible for them. So I went and got a truck, and I loaded them all up, and I brought them home.
My gosh.
I had like 6 games, and then I had 6 games in my garage, and that's how I started. Like in 1999, I started rebuilding everything, and then it just went from there. And I
ever have an experience like that.
Like it was
sitting on the curb.
I couldn't believe it. They were just sitting on the side of the street there, and I was like, "What the hell is going on?" So then I loaded them up, and I put them. I got a truck. I rented a U-Haul truck, and I moved them into the truck and put them in my garage. And then I just started rebuilding games from there. And then we moved to me and my wife, we moved to we left Calgary and moved to Saskatoon, and started up my own electrical company, and just started building my games from there. Like I ended up, I didn't start my company right away when we moved. I went and worked for another company, and then I took some time off, and I went arm wrestling because I used to be a professional arm wrestler. And I took about a year and a half off, and I traveled around and arm wrestled and went to a bunch of tournaments all over the United States. Like I was a 4-time Canadian arm wrestling champion, and then 4 or 5-time, I can't remember. And then I was a unified national North American champion, United States and Canada. And just went around and arm wrestled for about a year and a half, and then I came back and I went to work for another electrical company, and I started collecting games again. Like I started. No, actually, I took a job with another electrical, or with a vending company, and I ran the whole province for a company called Southern Music up here in Canada. They're actually pretty big at the time, and I ran the whole state. I guess it would be like down there. Here, it's up in Canada. It's called the province. So I was the manager of the province up here, and I ran everything, and I did that I worked for them for about 5 years. And in that time, I had met a few other operators and became friends with a few other guys, and kind of got back into the video game industry, and started kind of collecting games again. Whatever I could find that was, at a decent price, I'd buy it and start, buy it, store it, fix it up, and have it for my collection. So then kind of got to the point where
I gotta throw this up here.
Oh, sorry.
Just because.
Yeah, no doubt.
Have you ever played this game?
Yes, I never actually bought that game, but I played it on MAME to try and get the world record on it on MAME, just because of the whole arm wrestling thing. But I think you can actually buy a conversion kit for the Punch Out for that, for Punch Out or Super Punch Out. You can buy a conversion kit for that. So
yeah, they did market that out because they needed to have another game, because they had all these extra, I guess, pull-up joysticks, and they wanted to find something to do with that, because that was a new feature for Super Punch Out. It was not in the original Punch Out.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, no, I really like that game. Actually, I thought it was a good conversion. I mean, it was cheap. It was really cheap for the operators to do, because it was just a plug and play thing, right? So that was great on that aspect. It didn't really. I don't think it really generated a lot of interest as well, or a lot of at the time, because if they would have brought that out a little, probably 3 or 4 years later, it probably would have been a lot. But probably would have done a lot better for them in that aspect. Yeah, because arm wrestling at that time, when they brought that out, was only just getting popular. It wasn't really that big. as of yet. So if they would have brought it out, like I said, if they would have brought it 3 or 4 more years later, it probably would have done a lot better.
Have you heard of a game called Arm Champs?
No, I haven't.
You have never heard of Arm Champs? Well, it is what you think it is, what you might think it is. It is arm wrestling, but you're actually wrestling an arm.
Yeah. Okay, no, I've done that. Yeah, I've seen that. It's like a table. You put your arm down, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like a pressure thing, and it's got a full arm, and you got to kind of go left and right and go down, right?
Yes, you're just trying to outpower the computer opponent.
Yeah. No, I've done that. I've beaten that many times.
Oh, okay. And you know who this guy is? Yeah, this was the gimmick, I guess. This was the crossover to get people who are playing Punch Out to play this game.
Yeah.
Which, if he hasn't pulled his mask off yet, but he will. So let's go. You were talking about how you got employment at a local arcade. What was the hook?
Yeah. Pardon me?
What was the hook that got you into gaming? I guess at the very beginning, or was there a game that caught your eye that you just started playing?
Well, back in I guess 1980, 81. I was just a little kid, so like it was a different time back then, so you could you could just roam the streets when you were a little kid. Like, I lived in a small town, and I think the population at that time was 20,000, 25,000 people. The city was that big. And so, like, on the weekends or even in the evenings, we had, like, my parents, like, just gave us free reign. We could do whatever we wanted as long as we came home, by sundown or after sundown or whatever. As long as they knew where we were, it wasn't really that big of a problem, right? So, in the city called Grand Prairie, at that time there was 2 or 3 arcades. There was the Fun Factory, it was called, and then there was Celebrity Fun Center. It was called the Celebrity Fun Center, and then they ended up having 2 locations in the city, and then there was another place downtown. I can't remember the name of that place. And then there was a couple of pizza joints that had arcade games, and like, I was like 14 years old, 15 years old. So at that time, I just ended up going, hey, I'm going to go check out these things called video games, and I ended up walking into the Family Fun Center, the Fun Factory is the first place that I went to. And ended up walking in the door, and the first game that I actually played, in arcade game that I played in my life, was Pac-Man. That was the first game that I played. So, and I had $5. And so I just, you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Sorry, you just changed the screen.
Don't worry about the screen changes, as long as I don't disappear and I'm still moving around. I mean, StreamYard allows me to pull up other video windows and stuff, and so
nice
gameplay footage here.
So so that was actually the first game that I played, and I went there a couple of times. And I was like hooked on Pac-Man right away. And then I had played a couple other games. I think I played Dig Dug, Mr. Do, Blaster from Williams, Frogger, all the old classics. Like, I did play those games, and I was always like, the first while, like, I had just played Pac-Man because it was something that just caught my eye, and it was something that it seemed really easy to play, but it was actually hard, Like,
Mhm.
and there was always a lineup. There was always a lineup for people to play it, and so it was hard to play. And then the the owner of the arcade, he ended up getting another one.
Mhm.
So he had two of them, just for a short while though, and then he converted it to a Miss Pac-Man after like once the conversion came out for the Miss Pac-Man, he converted it. But I was always just I wanted to. It was just the draw to it. I just wanted to make it to the end. It wasn't at that point. It really wasn't to get a perfect game because that really didn't cross my mind at the time. Because there was another guy that played in the arcade there. Um, his name was Paul Schuin, and
Okay.
he was probably, I think at that time, like I was 13, 14, and I think he was he was like 18, 19 years old, so he had already graduated high school, and he would be in there all the time playing. And you know, I don't know if you know, but a lot of you could actually learn a lot just by, like, back in the day, you could just stand there and watch somebody play, and you would actually learn a lot from what their gameplay was. So whenever he was in there, I would always stand and watch him play and see kind of what patterns he was doing and what he was doing, right? And then
Yeah.
I would steal those patterns, and I'd incorporate them into my gameplay, right? So I think by the time I I don't remember exactly when I made it to the end of the game, but I think it was like 1982 or 83. I don't know the exact time, but I ended up making it to the split screen, and I never even at that time I just made it to the split screen, and I think it was I got 3.1 million at that time.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't really know the rest of the numbers of the 3.1 million, but I know it was 3.1 million that I did get. Um,
Right.
and I never even knew about the hidden dots or anything at that time. And I was like, man, okay, I beat the game, and I'm gonna move on, and then I moved on to play something else, right? And that was the end of my Pac-Man until let's see, until until Bill I heard that Bill got a perfect game on Pac-Man. So
Billy Mitchell. Yeah, and this was which year?
1999.
1999. And
Yeah.
so once he got the max out on a 5 life game of Pac, um, that got you going playing
Well,
Pac-Man
it kind
again.
of, yeah, at that time it kind of piqued my interest of exactly how it was done, you know?
Hmm.
So I was interested. I mean, I really didn't start playing Pac-Man again, because that was at that time when that happened, that actually correlated with the exact time that um, I was the national arm wrestling champion
Yeah.
in Canada. I became the national arm wrestling champion in Canada in 1998,
Right.
and then I was I'm not sure, like, so a lot of people don't know how much is involved in being the best in the world at something, at a sport or a video game or anything like that. A lot of people don't know how much time and dedication it takes to do something like that.
Hmm.
So being the best in the world at arm wrestling, well, the best in North America at arm wrestling, um, takes a lot of time and dedication. And so I was dedicated. Really dedicated my whole life to the arm wrestling at that time. So I really wasn't playing video games.
Hmm.
Um, I was I'd go to work every day and I'd try to incorporate arm wrestling into everything that I did while I was at work. And then when I wasn't at work, I was watching videos of other arm wrestlers and all that other kind of stuff, um, which was kind of cool because it led to really good arm strength for me to play video games. So
There's certain games where, yeah, it's requires power on your arms because I have to wear gloves if I'm going to play a game like Laser Ghost because my hands were physically hurting after a few plays.
Yeah,
I
no
actually
doubt.
injured my hand on a rotary stick, which is those SNK games like that uses a rotary sticks like Akari Warriors and gosh,
Like you're talking the
Time
spinner like
Soldiers.
Tetris,
Say again?
like the spinner like Tetris and Akari Warriors and that kind of stuff.
Tetris does not use a spinner.
Oh, it doesn't? I thought he used a spinner.
No, Tetris just uses a standard joystick.
Oh no, not Tetris.
Akari
I was talking. Sorry, Arkanoid.
Arkanoid uses a paddle controller.
Ah,
The spinner joystick, you're pushing in a direction, but also spinning the stick.
oh, geez.
Yes, Akari Warriors.
Akari Warriors. Yeah, now I remember. I remember now. Yeah.
Well, the game in particular was Cal 50. The rotary stick was a little more stiff, and the last time I played it, I actually injured my hand, and it hurt for almost a week. The thumb going down into the hand,
Brutal.
it hurt like hell, and it was like after just one play, and it was the Monday mystery game at Galloping Ghost Arcade. I did
No.
play it previously, T20 tournament, but I could only play it a few times because it hurt my hand.
Wow. That's crazy. Speaking of Galloping Ghost, that place is nice, isn't it?
Yes, I'm one of the former gamers of the year. They have 1,000 games and over 1,000, and if you've never been, you're going to need 2 going on 3 days to get the full effect of it.
Wow. Yeah, and I think you told me that you were there when Bill did his anniversary edition. Perfect.
Yes. So the story on that was about so many days before Thanksgiving. Billy Mitchell had observed that over at level 257, now they're calling it Pac-Man Entertainment or something.
Yeah.
There was a Pac-Man 255, which starts the game at level 255, so people could experience the kill screen.
Yeah.
That was running a class of 81 board that was set up to boot into Pac-Man and start at level 255.
Right.
So they played the kill screen and noticed there's a few more dots, and it was enough dots to cause the second key to appear on that stage before you ran out of men. And so Billy Mitchell made it a mission to do a perfect pack run on the class of 81 board and see what the final score would be. And it ended up being about 3.338 million points.
Yeah, 338,260, I think is what it is.
So it took him 10 days or so, 10 days to get all the way to the end and without messing up.
Yeah, I know. I watched the whole thing, actually.
Watched the whole?
Almost
I was
the whole thing.
Looking in off and on, and it's like, I have a trip scheduled up to Galloping Ghost. Is he still going to be there when I make my way up there? Because I had scheduled, vacation time up around Thanksgiving weekend and stuff. And so it was the day before Thanksgiving, and he was still going. I made my way up there. I knew the night before that he was going to be there again. Still going to be there because he didn't do it the previous day. Went up there. I think the first or second play of the day. No, when I arrived, he was about into 2 million points into his run. over 2 million, closing in on 3, and hung around to see if this was it, if this was going to be the run, and he was going to get to the finish line, and finally he did finish. He finally got it. I was there in person to see it myself, and there was a running joke going throughout the 10 days because I have the house high on the original Pac-Man at the Galvin Ghost. It's only about a little more than 1 million points.
Yeah.
The pattern I was using, I can't get every ghost. Those special boards where you doing the pattern to get every ghost. Billy Mitchell was freestyling it up until the 9th key pattern, and then he'd use this pattern to go through the rest of the stage. I was using the Screamer. Well, if you don't turn a corner at the right, if the pattern has to be perfect, and if you turn a fraction of a second later,
yeah,
the ghosts don't move in the same spot, same places, and then I kept getting nailed by Inky early on in the pattern, and it's like, what the heck happened?
Yeah, no, I
couldn't understand it.
Like, you got to be when you're playing, man. You have to be right on point the whole game if you're using patterns. And that's how I got my first perfect.
Yeah.
And then, like, it took me 4 hours, I think 28 minutes or something like that. And then I think I ended up playing 2 days later. And I ended up getting a time of 3 hours, 46 minutes. 3 hours, 28 minutes, and 46 seconds, or something like that. I can't remember.
The start of this is like the Screamer, but instead of going over here to take these out, he goes up
through the tunnel
for the key.
Yeah.
Which actually takes a little bit longer, but the Screamer pattern goes about 44 or 45 seconds, as considered the fastest pattern.
Yeah. Like I use the one where I go right and then I come down and go back up through the channel, and I go through the ghost and then across the bottom up and get the key, and then back down around, get the power pellet on the left-hand side of the screen. That's the one I use. I can't remember what the name of it is, but that's the one I use. But I think, like my time was 3:46:24, I think is what it was. So, which is 4th place in the time behind Chris Ira. Which, like, May 24th, actually May 24th is I'm going to be playing live again, May 24th on the 45th anniversary. And I'm going to be going to get the 3rd place time. So, and which I can do. I mean, I haven't, like, with my work and my life and my acreage and my house and all that kind of stuff. It takes a lot of time to find time to play Pac-Man again. But starting May 24th, that's Friday night, I'll be playing to go for the 3rd time, or the number 3 time in the fastness. Which I haven't done. I haven't said it yet in this stream, but I just really want to give credit to Rick Fothergill for. He is a guy that that guy is awesome. He helped me out with my perfect game. He has given me so much of his knowledge and his patterns, and just helped me out with the 1 second boards. I had to change the 1 second boards a little bit. That the 1 second board patterns a little bit to make sure I was successful in my perfect game. But that guy is awesome. I just want to give him credit for that. And all the Pac-Man players have been really, really good, and really supporting for me to finally get the perfect Pac-Man, because they knew I was really close, because I at the time I had made it to the split screen perfect, and I ended up dying on my first man because I was so excited, right? And then they were all just like, "You can do it, you can do it," So, and I guess I was an inspiration. I guess I was an inspiration to John Studley, which I really didn't know until after the fact, which is great because it got him back into playing and getting his perfect and all that stuff. So when he saw me playing, right? So
tried to find the screamer pattern and on YouTube because there is. And let's set up.
I think I have my game posted on YouTube. If you want to do that, you can go and.
Oh, let me see.
If you go, just punch up Greg Sakundiak on YouTube, and then it's listed as 320, 346.24, and then it'll probably be like number 346.24, 2 or 3.
I believe. Here you go. This might be it. I'm still looking. Well, I misspelled your name. That's why. It'd help if I spell your name correctly. And I was like, there.
So yeah, so when I did, there we go. So my goal at that time was no, that's the first. Actually, that was actually that one right there was the first time I had recorded a perfect all the way. I think that was the first one that I ever did that I recorded, and I blocked out the 1 second boards that at that time that Rick had given me. The first ones that he had given me, and he told me he didn't want me to share it with anybody, and he said to me, I'm going to give you these two, but I don't want you to share them with anybody at all. So when I did this, I blocked out the 1 second boards. And then,
so his pattern is a secret.
Yeah, at that time. And then I think I was going live with this, and I think Tim Balderramos he picked up my stream, and he was streaming on his when I was streaming on mine, and he was producing it because at that time he had a lot more followers than I did, and he was like, I'm just gonna copy and paste, or however he did it. I don't even know how he did it, but it was great because that recording was saved into history as me trying to do it, and he was commentating the whole thing, and I never ended up doing it at that time. And I don't think I was using patterns at that time, or I was using partial patterns. And then when I got to the 1 second boards, I ended up messing up, and I can't remember, but it was great at that time.
Yeah, I'm not even. Let me see if this one's it.
Yeah, it should be listed as 3.
Oh.
346.24, number 2 or number 3 at the end, because that's what I listed it as when I loaded it onto YouTube.
Oh, geez. Look at this. This is it. That's it, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you just go down 3/4 the way, you'll see that pattern.
Go about this way. All right.
That's the third key. So this is Rick Fothergill's 1 second, one of the 1 second boards that he actually had in privacy had given it to me.
Okay.
And then things because he was really searching, like, he's a very smart guy. Like, Rick Fothergill is probably one of the smartest people, probably one of the smartest or best video game players I've ever known in my life. And he spent a lot of time, and he doesn't like, he's not working with MAME or anything like that. It's just play the boards all the way through and then get to wherever you're going and develop it from there, right? So he had developed this pattern. He developed actually 3 patterns, but he was more concerned about having a forward motion pattern. So this pattern right here, it was the first one one of the first ones that he had developed, but it wasn't, as you can see, like down in the bottom left corner there, he it wasn't a forward motion because you got to do a reverse there. And
Yeah.
then there's a couple other things that you need to do before you go. And more towards the end of this pattern right here,
Mhm.
this was something that I come up with, so that I didn't have to learn another pattern because keeping all these patterns, like for a guy that plays Pac-Man with all the patterns in your head, it's hard to keep
Yeah.
the pattern straight in your head, right?
Yeah. And then you also can keep track of what board you're on,
That's right.
especially
So
with the keys.
right. So doing that, it's hard to keep all the patterns because some of them are familiar with each other. Like some of them use the same pattern, right?
Yes.
So
And some
like
of these
to begin
boards
with,
have
and
a
then they
some of the boards have a subtle difference with the ghost movements. Like
yeah.
they may be moving at the same speed, but they decide, oh well, we're gonna do our first reversal like a little bit sooner than we've done previously. And that'll
Right.
mess you up.
Yeah. Seems like we're lagging a little bit. Is there a problem on my end or is that on yours?
I haven't noticed any lag throughout the whole
Okay.
stream.
Okay. I just
Normally,
I can see a little bit of a lag when on the screen right now where the board's going through where you're streaming it from YouTube there. So
it is
but yeah,
streaming
no,
from
like
YouTube. Yeah.
so that was that's part of the problem is when you have all these patterns in your head, and it's pretty hard to do. Like I mean, I can do the grouping technique as well, like some of the other players like Bill and John.
Right.
But I prefer to do I really prefer to do the patterns because it's a lot faster, and you're not playing for 5.5, 6 hours. You're only playing for 3.5, 3 hours, 45 minutes, maybe 4 hours. So you're saving 2 hours on playing, right? So
I did notice it says perfect Pac-Man play, but one ghost got away. I did see
yeah,
that.
I'm not sure. Yeah, this could be a different one that I had played that I had posted. So
Yep. So I don't know. All right. Um, said it was only going to go for an hour, but I guess I mean I can go as long as you want.
oh, we can go a little bit, but if you don't mind, can we just take a 2-minute break? And I need to use the washroom.
All right. I think I will grant that.
We'll just leave it up. We'll just leave it up here, and I'll put some.
I do have.
I can put some
I do
music
have.
on here, and we'll just take like a 30-second break or a 1-minute break, and I'll be right back.
Oh, I
There's a
got it.
couple of things there's a couple other things I wanted to talk about before the end of the session.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
See you in a minute.
All right. All right. We're gonna take a present. All right. All right. Let me throw something else up here because he'll be right back. There's something else I wanted to cover while he stepped away for a moment. So, upcoming next weekend, the Goblin Ghost Arcade will be holding one of its swap meets, starting at 11 o'clock. I don't know if there's any tables left, but gamers will have classic games for sale for all different gaming systems: Atari, Coleco, PlayStation, Nintendo, Sega, etc., etc. Goblin Ghost says they're going to have some PCBs for sale, marquees, maybe other merchandise. That will start at 11 o'clock Saturday, March the 15th, and I'm going to have to haul my tail up there quicker so I can get into the swap shop. But following this, well, Saturday, March 22nd, the Blade Wars tournament has been postponed. I don't know what's going on. It seems like when they try to hold the Blade Wars tournament away from the Goblin Ghost, that doesn't some complication happens. I don't know what the deal is. The Headless Horseman was supposed to have a tournament as well, and that's been postponed until the month of May. So the next Bloody Wars tournament will be on Breaker's Revenge on April the 27th, starting at 3 o'clock. I'm in. My grand return to the Bloody Wars tournament will be at 3 o'clock, April the 22nd. And also, well, with Bloody Wars tournament, the Tekken 7 tournament postponed, if you're down in the Springfield area, there's the Midwest Toy and Comic Fest. Paul Niemeyer will be in the house. Also, the voice actor Sam Vincent of Sonic the Hedgehog will be in the house. Characters from other anime series will be also in attendance, starting at 10 o'clock, going to 4 p.m. at the Illinois State Fairgrounds in the Orr Building. The following month, Midwest Toy and Comic Fest, this is a touring thing, we'll be going to Decatur at Civic Center, and Brian Cullen will be over there. The weekend after the Midwest Gaming Classic, April 4th through the 6th, and this will be my 21st Midwest Gaming Classic. I believe our guest is back and ready to go.
Hey, thanks for taking a break.
All right, where was we? So we're talking about Pac-Man, but let's shoot. They're sending messages back and forth again. Okay. You're talking about Pac-Man, but you're also known for having a high score on a pro wrestling game.
Yeah, tag team wrestling. I think I still have the world record on that.
You still have the world record.
Yeah. Still have the world record on that, and I still have the world record on Dragon's Lair, the three-man Dragon's Lair.
Really?
Yeah.
You know what? Let me look at that score, because
the one in Dragon's Lair is 374,954, and tag team wrestling is 3 million something.
Yeah, almost 3.8 million points.
Yeah.
I need to check something real quick, because I want to see if anybody at Galloping Ghost has beaten it. That
score on tag team wrestling was done at an arcade called Outer Limits in Grand Prairie.
Mm-hmm.
And the Dragon's Lair score was done at the Celebrity Fun Center number 5 in Grand Prairie.
Okay, so I gotta share. Let me get back over here. Shares.
And then I also had a long-standing world record on Twin Cobra for a long time, until I think Martin Bedard beat it a few years back. I had it for a long time on Twin Cobra, like a long time. He ended up beating.
Okay, so somebody at Grinkers has, on a 3-man run, scored 399.
Nice.
That was in 2014.
Wow. Yeah, that's at Galloping Ghost.
No, Grinkers. So that would have been in Idaho.
Wow. So is that Twin Galaxies recognized, or no? Is it?
No, this is arcade.com recognized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Twin Galaxies, I kind of pledged my allegiance to arcade.com, because
you lost all interest in Twin Galaxies now, or what?
No, it's I'll tell you this. I never really submitted scores to Twin Galaxies. The reason why is because the verifications required, it seems like I had to jump through a lot more hoops to submit scores to Twin Galaxies. Now, I have a camera. I film my gameplay.
Right.
But they want me to open the back of the cabinet pull the circuit board out and
Yeah.
show the dip switches.
Yeah.
And I can't really do that.
Yeah, I
That's a
know they
major
got
pain in the rear. And plus, your kid operator isn't so inclined to yank the game out of its spot just to show the board.
Yeah. No,
And
I get
plus,
it.
you can't stop the tape.
Yeah, you gotta have a
Yeah, it
straight
has to be
streaming, right?
continuous footage.
No, I get it. I mean, they have a very rigorous rules and regulations that you have to follow, right? And I do get it. I mean, sometimes, a lot of people might think it's a little overboard, but that's the way they operate and that's their rules. And if you don't want to, you don't want to abide by the rules, then whatever, right? You can just go somewhere else. And
Yeah.
because I used to be a ref for Twin Galaxies, like back in 1998, 99, when I was getting back into it.
Mhm.
I was actually a ref. I was one of the refs that viewed the tapes of Billy Mitchell and Steve Weave and that whole debacle.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Do I want to go there? Do I want to go there? Because that lawsuit has not finished yet. If you were involved in this, I'm going to have you back.
Yeah, I
when
was
that
involved.
lawsuit decision comes in.
To be honest with you, I was involved in a lot of that stuff. I was involved in some of the stuff for the lawsuit, and I sent a bunch of emails to Jace, and there was a whole bunch of that stuff that I did there.
I had to throw this up there. This is the arcade game that you still have the world record in.
Yeah.
I'll have to verify that sometime, but I won't do that tonight.
like this could be for another one that we do. You said that you were there for Billy's anniversary
Max
edition
out.
world record.
Yes.
So
Class
there's a lot.
81.
I don't know if you know what happened after the fact with his world record with that. Do you know anything about that yet, or?
Doc Mack. Well, they had the video. They had the Twitch stream footage, and Doc Mack set up the machine. It's pretty much fair. I mean, Arcade Doc. I know Twin Galaxies banned Billy Mitchell, but Arcade.com, which is owned by Galvin Ghost now.
Okay, so we got a few minutes here before we're done. So I just want to clear a couple things up with you there. What happened with that?
Okay.
If you would like to know about that right now, or we could.
I think go ahead and tell the story.
Okay, so before Bill went for the world record, like on anniversary edition, there was only a handful of people that knew at that time that you could actually beat the 3,333,360, right? There was only a handful of people. There was Tim Ballaramos, David Race, I think, John Studley, Dwayne Richard, and myself. There was 5 people. Maybe Chris Ira knew. There was 5 people that knew how to do it. And Dwayne, you know who Dwayne Richard is?
I have met him. I basically battled my first T20 tournament. Dwayne Richard was in there, and I was in a shootout with him over the side tournament. He beat me.
Okay, so you know that Dwayne Richard is probably one of the best. He's probably one of the best, if not the best, video game players in the world, right?
Yes.
He used to be. I don't know. Him and I used to be best friends. Okay, we grew up together in Grand Prairie. We were best friends. Okay, for up until a couple of years ago, we were best friends. Okay, and what had happened was, okay, so there was a handful of people that knew how to do this to get the highest score possible on the anniversary edition. And so Dwayne contacted me, and he ended up moving to the state province where I live. And he said, "You know what? I know what's happening here. I know that Bill's going to be going for this world record." He says, "We have to beat him to do it." right? So he ended up getting a board. He ended up coming to my place, and we installed the board in one of my jamming cabinets, and ended up blowing up the board because we didn't hook it up right. We had 2 power supplies on the board and blew the board up right.
Uh-oh.
So he ended up, what had happened was he ended up coming up with a scheme to say that I already got the perfect game on the anniversary edition. Okay. And I went along with it because I was already credited in the Pac-Man world. So I went along with it and I said, I already did it. I didn't say that I already did the perfect Pac-Man. I didn't say that I already did the perfect Pac-Man, but I said that I already did it. Okay. So when Bill ended up getting the perfect game, okay, so you got to think about, from my point of view, at that time, like Dwayne has got a lot of accreditation in the Pac-Man world, right? And I wasn't as popular as him. I never was, right?
Yeah.
Even from like the early 80s or whatever, I really wasn't like the best at something. I was the best at a couple of games, but I wasn't the best at like a bunch of games. And I'd never really searched for that in my life. And so I always felt like he always had something over me. He was always better than me at video games. And I went along with, kind of went along with it. And he kind of like felt the pressure of, I needed to do this just to, not be his friend, but just kind of like go along with it, I guess, or whatever. So I ended up going along with it, and I ended up saying, yeah, I already did it. Right. And then when Bill did it, I'd sent him a message on Twitch, because Bill and I are, if all the stuff that has gone on with Bill and people saying that he's lying about his scores and all of his scores getting taken down and all that kind of stuff. I still talk to Bill, and I'm not one to judge. Okay.
Yeah.
Not to say that he did what he did or he didn't do what he did. It's not my place, right?
Right.
So I ended up going along with Dwayne, and saying that I already got the perfect on the anniversary edition, right? Just to take all the popularity off of Bill, saying that he wasn't actually the first to do it. Somebody else had already did it.
Mind games.
Right. And then what had happened was Dwayne and our friendship came to an end. And the whole fiasco of me getting the perfect on the anniversary edition was brought to life through David Race. And I told him, confessed that no, this was a whole thing to suppress Bill's score so that he wouldn't get the recognition for it. And it was all
a hoax.
It was all a hoax, and
Not the first time I've heard something like this. Say I did something and without proof.
Yeah. So, and I mean, David was asking for proof, and I was like, you know what? I had a picture on my old phone, and I was just kind of, I feel bad about it. Honestly, I still feel bad about it that I was able to let somebody manipulate me into that situation.
Yeah.
But I apologize to Bill, and I apologize. I came to light, and I told everybody, what had happened and how I was able to be manipulated into doing something like that, and everybody was forgiving. Like the whole community was forgiving on that. And I called Bill personally, and I talked to him about it, and he forgave me. And nobody has blacklisted me, like the Pac-Man community. Yeah. Nobody's blacklisted me. Everybody still talks to me. Everybody still is friends with me on Facebook, and they kind of understand kind of what went on. But for your viewers, it's maybe a question that people want to know. They want to get filled in on what exactly happened, and that's kind of what happened in that aspect.
I never knew about this.
Yeah, well, it's kind of hidden. Like if you search for Greg Sakundiak, or if you search for Perfect Pac-Man, or if you search for David Race or Billy Mitchell, none of that stuff comes up. And it's something that's still weighing on my mind, because it's something that I really, really, really am truly sorry about that it ever happened, right? And when it did happen, I kind of hurt a lot of people, and I lost respect with gamers, especially classic gamers.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to kind of make people know kind of exactly what had happened, and how easy it is for people to manipulate other people when they're in a higher anarchy of whatever it is. If it's your boss at work, or if it's your friend, or if it's your colleague, or they kind of make you feel shallow, or they make you they have something over you where they'll get you to do things that you want to do. You know what I mean? So it's I just wanted to I wanted to share that, and let everybody to know, your viewers, because a lot of people don't know exactly what went on in that aspect, right?
I will say, in the heat of score chasing and all that stuff, and I didn't really start score chasing until Galloping Ghost, finding the Galloping Ghost, and then becoming a regular, and then grinding on games. It seems like I'm trying to get away from the local pro wrestling scene, just transition out of that entirely, because I was heavily involved. And then in a couple of weeks, and I haven't mentioned this yet on this pod, I'm going to be doing a Let's Chat episode on March the 20th, and I have a lot to say about why what happened 2 years ago, and and what has happened since, and drama. Well, you'd think the gaming scene was an escape from the drama of the wrestling scene, but the wrestling drama has infiltrated the gaming scene quite a bit.
Yeah.
So yes, there are heels, there's faces in the gaming community. And
well, you know that wrestling's not fake, right?
I attended a show last night, and somebody failed to catch somebody jumping off the top rope, tried to sidestep it, and he jumped out off the floor, was really angry, and potato punched him in the jaw, and threw him head first into the post. He was screaming F-bombs. So yeah, and I've seen horrible injuries, people getting hurt doing really dumb things over the years. It's yes.
I got to tell you, when I was arm wrestling in Calgary, I ended up going to a wrestling at that time. It was called Stampede Wrestling. I don't know. It's like a big circuit. They feed wrestlers.
The Hart family.
Yeah, they feed
heavily
wrestlers.
Involved.
Yeah. So they were in Calgary, and I went to a big thing at the Stampede Wrestling at the Saddle Dome in Calgary,
Mm-hmm.
and they do this thing. It's called King of the Table, kind of like King of the Ring. And at that time, I was the national champion, and I was the unified North American champion. And we went to this event, and it was called the King of the Table at Stampede Wrestling. Whoever you'd go all the way from the lowest weight class, which I was in, which was 132 pounds, okay, all the way up to as heavy as you could go. And the prerequisite for this tournament was you'd have to win at the pre-tournament before you went to this tournament that was at Stampede Wrestling. And so I ended up winning. And what you could have done was, so if you won in my class, you could go up every class. You could go all the way up to the top, and if you won, you ended up, whoever won the full tournament won a car. Okay. So I was 132 pounds at that time, and I ended up winning my class, the 150 pound class, the 165 pound class, the 175 pound class, the 183 pound class, the 220 pound class, and the open class. I beat everybody in there at 132 pounds, and I ended up winning a car. At 132 pounds, I beat the open champion in the weight class.
What kind of car?
I don't even remember what it was now, but it was in 1998, so it was
brand new.
It was a car. Yeah, so
get this. When I won the 1991 Nintendo Campus Challenge, the grand prize was a Geostorm. I still have it.
Hey, also, I need to tell you, I have an Xbox 360 Live signed by Toru Iwatani from the tournament that was in New York, which we could do on the next podcast. But I have that Dwayne Richard won, and he got signed by Toru Iwatani, and he gave it to me. He gave me that console because I didn't play, so that he could go to New York, win the Pac-Man in Canada, and go to New York for that tournament. He ended up giving that to me. So,
all right,
anyway.
so I got to circle back to, gosh, the mess with Billy and against Twins Galaxy. So the lawsuit decision's not in. We're still waiting for a decision from that judge in Australia because he's suing Carl Jobs over accusations that he influenced somebody to take their life or something. Apollo Legend. I don't know what happened there, but controversy about Donkey Kong and Pac-Man and whether he played on a MAME or the arcade hardware. It's like, I think so much of this drama could have been avoided if he had just agreed early on to just redo the scores and do them live.
Yeah. So do you want to continue on with this? Because I gotta get out of here.
I might as well.
Okay.
We can go a little bit longer. I mean, I just kind of said an hour just because I didn't think the podcast would go long, but I didn't think the podcast would take a turn. And you took a turn, and I didn't expect that. So now I'm a little intrigued to go further. Besides, I'm long-winded anyway.
All right. So, back. Okay, let's kind of go all the way back. Okay.
Okay.
So we'll go back to where Bill, like the whole King of Kong movie. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Bill got the world record. There was controversy about whether or not his gameplay was good as compared to Steve's, so I got sent videotapes.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at them. At that time, I wasn't a big Donkey Kong player. I didn't really know all the ins and outs about everything that had to go along with Donkey Kong. So I told Walter, at that time I was still a ref.
Mm-hmm.
I told Walter I didn't really see anything that was different between the gameplay at all. And knowing that, I wasn't a big Donkey Kong player, I wasn't really in depth into the Donkey Kong, but just looking at everything and all the aspects, I really didn't see any difference between Steve's and Bill's game at that time. Okay. He sent me the tapes. I viewed them, sent them back, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Mm-hmm.
No record of me receiving the tapes. No record of me sending them back. Okay.
Right.
No record. Just I got them. I sent them back. Okay. That basically that was it. Saying there was no record. No record of me receiving them, sending them back. Okay.
Right.
Because later on in the conversation, why that becomes important. So then the whole thing came up about Bill and playing on MAME. Okay, like that was just my point in the whole the Donkey Kong thing and the tapes was the whole point of what was going on with just that section of the lawsuit. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Twin Galaxies trying to figure out what was going on with that and if I had any record of them sending me the tapes and sending them back for what was going on in the lawsuit, because I had no idea what
forensics.
What was going on with the lawsuit, whether or not I had record of being sent back. And then also I was contacted from Jace if I had any other evidence that could lead to their case against Billy, okay? Or anything that was happening back and forth between Twin Galaxies and Billy Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And all the emails, everything that I had, the contact between Twin Galaxies and me and anything that got sent with Dwayne Richard to Twin Galaxies and all that kind of stuff that I got shared in the group emails, all that kind of stuff I sent to Jace. Okay. And there was a lot of stuff that went on, like a lot. I can't get into it because there's so much content. Okay.
Well, I found out something right here because this Crusher in the chat says he apparently got these tapes.
Wow. Yeah. No, there was tapes out there. And I mean, me personally, I had my tapes and I was requested to send them back once I saw both tapes. I never made copies of them. I sent them back. Right.
Yeah.
So
isn't it so much easier to work with MP4 files than VHS tapes?
Yeah. So I'd sent all my emails to Jace, because they were requested from his lawyer, from Twin Galaxy's lawyer. So I sent all that stuff. I was contacted by him, and then I sent all the stuff so that they could use them for, I guess, in court proceedings. And then I was contacted by Bill asking me for any evidence that I had of the tapes, if I had any evidence of the tapes. And at that time, I thought, you know what? Like, if I'm going to share information with one person, why can't I share it with everybody else? So I sent him everything else that I had. And I said, this is all the information I had. So I sent him all the information. So each to his own, right? So I sent him all the information that I sent to Jace, because I was contacted and I was asked for the information. And you know what? I'm not one to judge. I don't like to pass judgment on anybody. So and that's the kind of person I am. I like to try to stay neutral between everybody. I don't like to say I'm.
I will say this. For the longest time, I don't have a dog in a fight either. For the longest time, I had a copy of King of Kong, and I avoided watching it because I didn't want to I didn't want to have a different opinion of Billy Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
Because I had met him, and I finally watched it, and it's like, why didn't you play head-to-head with Steve Weeby?
Yeah,
It's like,
like
did a pro wrestling heel move.
And so I'd sent him that information, and I said everybody should be on an equal playing field here. You can do whatever you want with it. I have all this information. So I sent him all that information. And then and it kind of makes me think back, so when the whole Donkey Kong King of Kong thing happened, and they said that he was he was playing on MAME, and that whole light came to effect. I had a conversation with Bill, and I told him, I said, well, if you want to prove them wrong, then go ahead and play on a cabinet and beat the score. Go and practice, or show them that you can do it. Spend the time and go ahead and do it. The only way you're gonna show them that you did it was just doing it, right? So
Repetition.
Yeah. So
right now, the man is Robbie Lakeman.
No doubt. Man, that guy's good, eh?
Yes,
I thought Hank Chen was good. Holy crap.
Yeah, Robbie Lakeman has the world record on Donkey Kong on the original arcade hardware, and nobody's topped it yet. I don't know if he's got the world record on MAME. I know Toy Galaxy's tracked separate tracks for the arcade hardware and MAME, but they have to use a particular version of MAME.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're right on the other side of the screen here. I got a Donkey Kong right here, eh? So, and I actually own the Donkey Kong that Tim Serby got the world record on.
I'm not that good at Donkey Kong. It's like I tried to replicate the scoring techniques others were using, and it never went well.
I drove to New York. I drove to New York to pick up this cabinet right here because, the whole thing with I don't know if the whole thing with Tim Serby, what happened with his score, because he was actually at that time that the King of Kong movie was made. Yeah. Tim Serby actually had the world record on Donkey Kong, and they suppressed his world record, and put Bill actually in first place, just for the movie, from what I understand anyway. And then later on, Tim Serby's score got accepted after the fact.
Yeah.
So that I don't know. This is just hearsay. I don't know if it's true, but anyways, I own this. I own the cabinet. I own the Donkey Kong cabinet that Tim Serby got the world record on. Okay. I drove to New York and picked up. I bought Donkey Kong off of him, and a Dragon's Lair and a Space Ace off of him. I drove to New York and picked him up.
I had a thought in my head and I lost it. Darn it. I was going to have a comment about this. Oh, that's it. So I'm trying to figure out what theater has it. The sequel to King of Kong is out. It's Arcade and Love Songs, The Ballad of Walter Day. I don't know if you've heard about it.
Yeah, I heard about it. I haven't seen it or anything yet, so I just saw the preview for it. I don't know not exactly sure what that is all about. I think it's more of a musical thing where it features his music that he has.
Walter Day wanted to be a musician.
Yeah.
And he wrote a bunch of love songs, and he finally got around to recording these love songs with him singing in his 70s.
Yeah, to be honest with you, back in the day, 1985, 84, 85, 86, 87, I was pretty close with Walter, the first time I met him was in Victoria. I went to the competition there in Victoria, and then the Ironman as well. Mm-hmm. That's where I actually ended up meeting Bill and a lot of the gamers. And then I went around to tournaments and whatnot. And so, it's a small group of people, that would go to these tournaments. Well, you might know, like if going to Galloping Ghost, you're there all the time. There's a group of people there. They're your friends. You kind of are kind of a
Well,
group
they're more
together.
like rivals.
Yeah, but you're still with them even if you're competing against each other. It's
Right.
still, and I think that's kind of like the same thing that drew me to arm wrestling. Once I knew that I was good, I'd go around and to all the tournaments and everything, and you'd see the same group of people, and you'd hang out with them, go and have a few drinks, you go and eat together, and you're hang out with your friends. That's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Ditto with the pro wrestling scene.
yeah, so so Walter is, he's kind of quirky. Back in the day, he was a man. We were all just kids, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of like looked up to him, right? At the
Right.
time, you looked up to him, and then later on, like he's the guy that verified the scores, and he was the guy that did this, and he was the guy that did that, and you'd call him when you got a new score, and and later on, like he worked for Guinness Book, right?
Mhm.
He was a referee for Guinness Book. I don't know if a lot of people knew that. It wasn't just video
No,
games.
I didn't
It
actually.
wasn't just video games that he was working for Guinness Book. He was actually verifying other things that were, like when he was in Victoria, when he
Yeah.
came to that tournament, he was actually there witnessing and verifying a guy that was up in a tree, living up in a tree for for the world record. He was up there living up in a tree for the world record. Like he just never did video games. He did a lot other stuff for Guinness Book, right? So, but a lot of people call him down because they don't like him because of
The
he does
drama.
the drama and the way he lives his life. Like he does some kind of meditation,
Meditation. Yes, he
right?
does.
And like I'm a Christian myself, right? So there's a lot of people that look down on other people the way they are. And I'm the type of person that I don't care who you are. I love you for who you are. I don't care what you do, right? So I don't look down. I try not to look down on anybody for the things that they do. I like to forgive people and for what they have done, no matter who
Yeah.
they are. But Walter's a great guy. Walter's good. I don't mind Walter.
Walter's the cool, calm, and collected guy. He doesn't want to get too deep in any kind of drama. Which, yeah, as the trailer of the movie says, Walter's not the kind of guy who wants to fight back.
And he's old now, right?
Yes.
So
he's in his mid-70s.
let him be. Let him be. Go out and watch the movie if you can. Support Walter if you can.
If I can find the movie.
He's just trying to make some money so he can live the rest of his life in peace. I don't think he's trying to hurt anybody anymore. If he's hurt anybody in the past, well, you got to forgive him.
Cards.
Hey, yeah, like I got my trading cards here too. I don't know if they're.
Yep.
Where are we at here? Are you there?
Right in the
So
middle.
that was the first one. That was the first one that I got, and I actually Walter did that for me for free, and he got it graded for me. He got it graded and everything for me for free. That first one there. That's number. What number is that?
Yours card 81.
84.
84.
Card 84.
Yeah.
And then I got this one made. This one right here. It's the perfect Pac-Man one.
33.59. Yep.
Yeah, and I begged and pleaded with Walter. I'm like, seriously, man, it's got to be 33.60. It's got to be 33.60, right? And he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it, man. It's like, are you kidding me? He's like, we already got it printed. I already got somebody else printed out on 3.60, right? And I was like, you're kidding me. He's like, no.
Paul Zimmerman, if you know who he is, they gave him 2,600 because he is the Atari 2600 master.
Yeah.
They granted his request. I wanted for my second card 41.78, so it's like 4,000 cards printed so the 3 digits would match.
Yeah.
Didn't do it.
No, I was like,
41-24.
I told Walter too. I was like, man, you got to change that. You got to change that score, man. I want the 3360, right? And he's like, no, it's already in printing. I can't do it. I was like, change it. He's like, no, I can't do it. It's already done. I'm like, one number, like one. You can't change one number so that I could have it. And he's like, no.
Gee, I wonder whose card that is. I'm gonna look that up real quick. 3360 belongs to Fun Spot themed parks.
Yeah. And you know, like
this is that. I'm gonna throw this up on the screen.
I don't know if you know, like when I did my first perfect Pac-Man, it was on the anniversary of the 40th birthday of Pac-Man, right?
There it is.
Yeah.
Put this in there it is. Yeah, I've never been to Fun Spot.
You haven't been to Fun Spot? Oh, you gotta go.
Well, I don't fly. It's up in New Hampshire.
Well, it's not far from you, man.
I'm in Central Illinois.
I drove from Saskatoon. I drove from Saskatoon to Fun Spot.
Yeah, but jeez. I know I'd have to take a train or something, but I don't like to fly. I have pets too, and when they're still with me, I mean, I can't really go super cross-country trips. Cats do not want to travel.
So when I did that perfect Pac-Man, I did it actually on the 40th anniversary of Pac-Man.
Yeah.
And the guy that actually on my card, because we're talking about the card, the guy actually that wrote this,
yeah,
on the back, his name is Mike, and he's from Ontario.
Mm.
And at that time when I did it, I was from a few people that I was dubbed the 40th anniversary Pac-Man champion.
Yeah.
So, but I had something fall here. Hang on a sec.
Oh well, we're about done here, I think. We got through the revelations I didn't expect to hear.
No, there's
something else.
There's a lot to unpack, and I mean, we can do another podcast if you'd like to unpack a few other things, but we got the gist of it. What I wanted to say anyway, just where I was at and what had happened with Bill's 40th anniversary Pac-Man. You know, and before we close, I do plan on playing the 40th anniversary Pac-Man and getting the perfect on that, just so the audience knows what's happening with that. But I do plan on playing behind me here. I do plan on playing starting May 24th for the 3rd fastest time, which I know that I can do, which I don't think it's actually really hard for me to do, but just finding the time to do it with my work and my acreage and the farm and everything that's going on here. So
are you going to go for the class of 81 tie?
Yeah.
Yep. Here's another question that's outstanding. The Namco Museum release of Pac-Man, where it had 2 other games, I think Dig Dug and Rally X combined, and there's versions of each game. The Pac-Man on it, I don't know if it's a dip switch setting or if they did something where it automatically ends after like board, what is it, 21 or 32?
21. When you get to the second board, yeah.
It would actually throw up a game ending.
Yeah.
But if there's a dip switch setting that allows you to play to the kill screen, I wonder if the board on it, the kill screen board, is different from the other 2.
Yeah, I don't know. It possibly could. I actually, to be honest, but I haven't played that. I haven't played that yet. So
that would be something to explore, because if the kill screen is different on the 20th anniversary, the final score is going to be different than the other 2, and that'd be something to find out.
Hey, keep quiet. I want to do it. I want to do it so nobody knows about it.
Well, 40 years after.
you let the cat out of
somebody's got to have tried to look at it. I mean,
you let the cat out of the bag. Come
I don't know if
on.
the cat's out of the bag, but maybe it's more of has the idea been seeded in anybody yet?
No, to
That's
be honest,
my concern.
the only thing, the only thing that I've been playing besides this behind me is I've been playing that giant Pac-Man. You know that they have that big, huge.
Yeah,
I've been playing.
world's largest Pac-Man. Yes.
I've been playing that, and I've gotten actually pretty far in that without continuing. You know, because if you put a quarter or you put a loonie and you can just keep continuing.
Yeah.
But I've been playing that, and I've gotten on one game I've gotten up over 1 million points on it already.
So you have rolled it.
Yeah. So I've gotten up over 1 million already on one game, and I think I've figured out the technique to it. So it's been and then what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to. I think I have a pattern developed where I can play forever on that thing. So we'll see. I've gotten up just over 1 million, like 1.1 million. So
Pac-Man Plus. Have you gone after that one?
I haven't played. I got my own Miss Pac-Man, and I haven't really. To be like I told you, like most of my games are still in my storage container, and I'll be bringing them out, putting them in my garage this summer. So it's still hard to get back in there because it's been 3 years since we moved from the city out to where I'm living, and like I had the property and the house that we bought. It's an old log house, and I had to gut the whole thing and rebuild it right from the ground up. So that's been taking up a lot of my time doing all that, and but I'm hoping that this summer I can get a couple of more games out into my garage. But Miss Pac-Man has been the only other title that I've played. So, but also one of the things I'm most proud of is being in the. I think I'm number 10 on the Twin Galaxies board on 5 men on Robotron on the hardest setting.
You know what? Since you brought that up, I don't have my
I
challenge
think
card.
it's
I
still
have
number
these
10.
challenge cards, and this isn't the level 2 card. It's in another room in my car. Actually, I have to break 600,000 on Robotron to complete one of the 10 challenges on my Galloping Ghost challenge card.
Nice.
My old card had Aerial Fighters, Space Harrier, Jungle Hunt, 64th Street, Jackal, R-Type, Food Fight, Bomb Jack, Dragon Slayer.
Nice.
Which was a pain, a royal pain, because I couldn't get the daggum timing off, because it was real picky. You can't go early and can't go. And sometimes you had to do nothing. Operation Gunbuster. So Robotron is on my challenge card, and Doc Mac gave me 600,000 because I nearly went 500K when he asked me, how good can I go on Robotron? And I played a few times, and then I had personal best.
So what was that set on? Was it set on, what was the settings on that?
I think it was set to 3 lives.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. But every
We
25,000 for an extra.
When we played, it was level 10 with 5 men.
Yeah, I start from the very beginning of the game.
Yeah, level 10
1.
with 5. Level 10 with 5 men, and I think my score was 526,000 or something like on 5 men. Yeah,
I'm going next weekend.
That was in Texas. I went to that tournament. I can't remember. It was the Golden Age Young Guns tournament or something like that in Humboldt, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was playing with Darren Harris. Man, that guy's good. You ever get a chance to meet him? That guy's good at Miss Pac-Man, and he's
the guy in Texas I want to meet.
Pardon?
The gamer I want to meet out of Texas is Thor Ackerlund.
Yeah.
Because he's the 90 Nintendo World Champion. I've always been in his shadow.
If you ever get a chance, I don't know if he's still around, but Don Nauert, have you ever heard of him?
No.
He was a gamer back in the day. He was a really good gamer. Like he had the world record on Cheyenne turkey shoot.
Turkey shoot. I have
uh,
house high at turkey shoot.
David, what the heck was his name? Another guy was good at duck hunt. I met him in Victoria. I can't remember what his name is. David Presley.
Okay.
But Don Nauer was really good at those shooting games, man. That guy was awesome, man. You ever get a chance to meet him? He's a great guy. Great guy. I only had a chance to meet him twice, I think. But awesome. Really awesome dude.
Maybe I should. Yeah, this would be interesting. If he was like best gun game player, I'll put him up head to head with someone who was living in Texas for a while, has moved back up here, John Liming. He has a lot of the shooting game house highs at the Galloping Ghost.
Yep. Yeah, he's probably older now because I think he was older than me, so he might be pushing 60 now, or he may be even over 60. But back in the day, man, that guy was the number one shooting guy in all classic gaming, man. So
Yeah, I'm 53 now, and I'm not stopping.
well, I'm what is it? I'm 56. I'll be 57 this year in July. So, but I'm not stopping either. I'm going to play as much as I can, probably till the day I die. So,
All right, Greg. I want to thank you for coming into the Crimeycade this Sunday afternoon and providing me some surprise content.
yeah, well, you know,
I think some people are going to come back and look at this.
I got a lot more to say. So, we'll do this again soon.
Well, when the decision on the lawsuit comes in, I'll have you back because we'll probably just go through and analyze because there's going to be a lot of chatter about the outcome of that lawsuit and what it will mean for the future.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. And you're out of Canada, so this was like I think the fourth out of country stream, the second one from Canada. Oh, I should ask you this. Do you know Eric Pearl?
No, I don't know Eric Pearl.
Okay.
But I know that there's a lot of gamers in Canada, and you need to change your content and I think you should just go with Canadian players. Because we're the best in the world, right? So.
Well, he's come to the Galloping Ghost T20 tournament the last few years. So
yeah. Oh, hang on! Before we go, I got to show you this. You can see it. See this here.
Looks like Captain America, but it's Captain Canada.
Captain Canada. That's Rick Fothergill is Captain Canada. Just number one Pac-Man player in the world. Rick Fothergill.
All right, Greg. Thank you for coming in on this Sunday afternoon, and I was happy to fit you in, work around your work schedule and family schedule. So
thank you so much.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Take care. Have a great weekend. Thanks a lot.
Right.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
All right. That was Greg. And before we get out here, I got a couple items left. Upcoming. Oh, I gotta announce my next guest. That's the main thing. Do you want to know who my next guest is? I gotta throw this back up here. Present. Share screen. Go back to here. There we go. Pull this back up here. C2E2. Yes. Galloping Ghost will be at C2E2 again. I will not make it. This time, because it's sandwiched in between Midwest Gaming Classic and the Como Retro Game Convention down in Columbia, Missouri on April 19th. And Game Central Station, who was a previous guest, has their gaming show in where the heck is it? It's Athens, Georgia that weekend. Combo Breaker, the fighting game tournament. Galloping Ghost will be there for that. This is the 10-year anniversary, May 23rd through 25th. That is Memorial Day weekend at Renaissance Schaumburg Convention Center. Who is my guest? Next week, it will be Rob Crumb, Josh Minipenny, and Matt Schwartz. They all are Arcade Restore hobbyists. They will be on the Crimeycade on Thursday, March the 13th. Talk about gaming restorations, as that was a popular thing going on, and it's still going on to this day. And the week after, Thursday, March 20th, I'm going to do a Let's Chat. I'm going to cover whatever topics that are on my mind, and there's been several. And yeah, my personal drama, it's going to be the 5-year anniversary of the COVID lockdowns, and then I'm going to talk about those doggone video game addiction lawsuits that are being threatened to be filed all over the country, which I've been trying to get somebody who's wanting to file one of these lawsuits on this podcast, and all I've refused so far. So I'm going to lay down the law on this one, and there may be other stuff. But after that edition of the podcast, I am going to take a break for about a month, because I'm going to be practicing for tournaments in the Midwest Gaming Classic. The retro game video game tournament is going to happen again, so yeah, I've got to practice for that. I want to win. I want to get first place once and for all. So I'm going to raid somebody's channel. I want to thank you all for joining me here tonight. Who's doing what tonight? This afternoon? Oh, yeah, I'm going to rate. This guy hasn't been going too long. We'll go to the Andy Social Network. Start the raid there. He's playing a Yoshi's Island. So, until next time, I am the man conservative Cryfire. I hope to see you around the arcade soon, and have a good day, everybody.